Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's edition of The Fishing Teacher. And man, I really appreciate you guys sharing some of your day with me and coming by the channel here. Today, guys, I want to talk about specifically to the beginning and intermediate level angler. Somebody that, you just got started in fishing, or maybe you've been fishing for a few years and you're learning like we all do. It takes a long time to learn to get to be a good fisherman. But I'm going to give you guys some practical things that you can really implement into your fishing right now that's going to help you be a lot more consistent every single day that you're on the water. Because when you start out in bass fishing, being consistent, in your fish catching success, it's a hard thing to do. I mean, fishing is a difficult sport on public bodies of water, but I got a handful of things I want to share with you guys, really practical things that you can utilize on your next trip that's really going to help you guys out here. Also, guys, for get started, a couple quick things here. Thank you very much for everybody that's been taking time to hit that subscribe button here to The Fishing Teacher. We're really working hard. My next goal is to try to get the channel to 50,000 subscribers. We're about 22,000 right now. So if you like the content, hitting that subscribe button is free and easy to do so. Liking the videos, sharing the videos is a good way to help out. And also, guys, thank you very much for everybody that's been using all the links I put in the video description to support The Fishing Teacher. And finally, if you're interested in booking an on-the-water lesson with me, just go to my Facebook page, Randy Blaukat Professional Angler, shoot me a private message, and we'll set up a trip either on Table Rock or Stockton Lake to go over any technique you want to get better at. So thank you for putting up with the plugs there. Okay, fishing. First of all, a lot of you guys that watch my channel, I say this all the time, bass fishing is, if not one of the most, if not the most difficult sport that there is to really master, because there are so many variables to bass fishing. When you're talking about real bass fishing, I'm not talking about live scoping, which is a completely different, part of fishing. I'm talking about traditional bass fishing skills where you're breaking down seasonal movements and patterns and you're using a diversity of lures. It's a lifelong endeavor and you never perfect it. It's like I've been fishing, guys, for over 50 years and I'm still a student. I learn something every day I'm on the water. And that's the great thing about it. That's why it's just, one of the most awesome sports in the world. But everybody wants to be successful and everybody wants to catch fish. So let me give you guys some tips and advice if you're sort of in that average to beginning or intermediate stage. Some things that can immediately help your fishing success. Some of them are going to be, pretty bland. Some of them a little bit different, and some of them you may have heard before, but I want to reiterate it because they are so important. Number one thing, the quickest, easiest thing that you can do if you're starting out in fishing is you've got to be the best caster that you can be. It sounds simple. It sounds like, oh, Randy, that's obvious. Everybody knows that, but it's not, because casting skills, there's a lot to it. There's literally 20 different types of casts you can make. You can pitch and flip, you can skip, you can make a sidearm cast, you can do ambidextrous, you can do a 90-degree cast, overhand cast, underhand roll cast. There's a lot of different casts, but the thing that you have to do is you have to get accurate in your casting. Because if you're target fishing, say for example, you're throwing your bait down a rocky bank or by a boat dock or by a tree or something in the water, your ability to place that lure right where you want it is paramount to be successful. Say for example, if you're throwing a crankbait around a boat dock, down the corners or down the sides of a boat dock, a lot of times you have to get that close to the dock. Your bait has to literally be, 3 or 4 inches away from the dock. If it's a foot away from the dock, you'll never get a bite. You have got to be able to put that bait where you want it with any lure. Doesn't matter if you're casting or if you're pitching and flipping, everything. So do not, number one, guys, do not underestimate the importance of practicing your casting. You don't even have to go to the lake to do it. You can do it at your house or in your yard. But the amount of success that you're going to have by learning different type of casts and learning how to be efficient with casting different types of lures, it makes all the difference in the world, because there's a big difference between casting a 3/16 ounce lure and a 3/4 ounce lure, as far as the cast you make and how it, comes off the reel. Do not discount that. Do not diminish how important that is. Absolutely critical for that. Okay, the next thing you can do is you have to figure out what you like to do in the sport as far as what is your favorite way to catch bass. It could be a crankbait, it could be a spinnerbait, it could be pitching and flipping, it could be Carolina rigging, whatever. Find something that you really like to do and spend time mastering that. Spend a lot of time perfecting it. Understand the nuances behind the technique that you like to fish. That way, when you have the set of conditions that are lined up for the way you like to fish, you're going to be better than anyone else. And in correlation with that, you have to find something that you can specialize in, but you also have to be versatile with that. So the combination of being a versatile angler and being a specialist at one or two things is how you really have success in fishing, because you can't be consistent in your bass fishing success if you're one-dimensional. If you just like to pitch and flip, yeah, you're going to do good in certain situations, but you're not going to be consistent all the time. So try to take all the lure categories, your finesse lures, your bottom bouncing lures, crankbaits, spinnerbaits, topwaters, all of that stuff, and try to experiment and learn a little bit about everything. And one of the quickest ways you can do that, and that's the great thing about 2025, is there's so much stuff on YouTube that you can learn about specific techniques. So when you want to learn about a specific technique, try to assimilate as much information that you can, and then go to the lake and try and just practice that. Spend time on the water practicing it. Okay, the next thing you can do, another thing that you're going to have to learn in bass fishing to be successful, is you got to sort of be an amateur weatherman. It's like weather and the weather patterns, they affect so much about bass fishing as far as their mood and their personality, and the weather patterns depending upon certain times of the year, because cold fronts and wind and clouds and sun, all that type of stuff, it plays a role at different times of the year. So pay close attention to that. It's like when you're starting your fishing out there, try to assimilate as much information by watching, videos and stuff on weather. But when you're out there, pay close attention to the changes in the weather. Because let's say, for example, you're out fishing at 9 o'clock in the morning and it's partly cloudy and the wind's blowing 5 miles an hour. And then 3 or 4 hours later, the clouds start to move in, it gets cloudy, and maybe the wind increases or decreases. Every time that you have some type of a weather change, you're also going to have a change in the techniques and the lures that a bass are going to prefer. So be aware and try to become a student of the weather. That's really, really going to help you out quite a bit. Next thing that's going to help you out is talking and being around other good anglers. Now, you can learn a lot by watching videos, but there's nothing that can replace talking or fishing with somebody that is good at a certain technique. It's like you can watch videos all day long about chatterbait fishing, and you can watch YouTube videos and you can see people catching fish on chatterbaits. But if you get in the boat with somebody that is good with a chatterbait, and you can see exactly what they're doing, you can see how they're positioning the boat and how they're holding the rod angle and how they're turning the reel handle and putting action on the bait and how they're setting the hook on it and how they change colors based upon things like water clarity changes and all that type of stuff. Never underestimate the importance of fishing with another good angler. Some of the biggest, if I look back in my career, some of the biggest leaps in my success have come by fishing with somebody that was good. I had a chance to fish with some guys that were expert flippers and pitchers back in the 80s, and I learned that. I've been able to be in the boat with Larry Nixon. I learned a lot about fishing a square bill crankbait with Larry Nixon. I learned a lot about, approaching and breaking down water by fishing with Rick Clunn. I learned a lot about pitching and flipping when I fished with Denny Brower. Down the whole list, don't ever underestimate the importance of befriending somebody and just be a student of the sport. And finally, guys, and I'm just hitting some surface stuff. We could talk all day on this, but finally, and this is probably one of the most important besides casting, is you have to trust your own imagination and creativity. So you can read a lot about bass fishing and you can say like, oh, a shad pattern crankbait ought to work good in this situation, or a black and blue jig ought to work good here. But use your own creativity and imagination when you're on the water. It's like, if you see something that looks good, don't like overthink it. Just go do it. Or if you think, man, maybe I should try this color lure. And then you say to yourself, well, I've never seen anybody try that color lure. It's probably not going to work. Just go ahead and try it. Try stuff that other people don't try. Because I have been in the boat with co-anglers before, And I'm catching them good on a black and blue jig, and a co-angler in the back of me he's got a bait on, and it's like I start almost laughing inside. It's like he's not going to catch anything on that thing. The fish are not going to bite that thing in this conditions, and they wind up whacking them on it and beating me on it. And I never would have tried it because I'm limited, because I've had success on certain things, and I'm not as creative or open-minded as I was when I was 20 years old. So trust your own imagination and your creativity. That is your point of power, and that's how new techniques are developed. That's how new colors are developed. That's how new approaches to bass fishing are developed. Everybody has their own ability unique to themselves. It's like if you and I go fishing together, you look at a bank differently than I do. I may look at it differently than you do, and on any given day, either one of us could be right or wrong. So just trust yourself in that. And mainly, guys, just have fun. It's like, that's another thing about fishing. It's like fishing should be fun. It should be relaxing. It should be enjoyable. And when you do that, when you stay open-minded and you stay loose and free, you're going to catch a lot more fish than if you're uptight and all wound up about it. So anyway, just a few thoughts there, guys. I hope it helps you guys catch a few fish, and we'll check later.